Good morning. This is the Innovation Conversation. How you doing, Tom?
Doing great, Kevin. How are you?
I'm great. Happy belated Labor Day.
Yes, yes, thank you. This will be airing after.
Um, so we today I thought it was really good to important to talk about an announcement that Amazon made about 2 weeks ago as people watch this, in which it said that customers in more than 1,000 cities and towns will now be able to order fresh groceries with their same-day delivery orders, with plans to expand to over 2,300 markets in the U.S. by year end. So a significant ramping up in their e-grocery business and tying it to a great extent to fresh, something they've never been particularly strong on. So, and the read from most of the coverage and the uh, the stock market and stuff like that is this is Amazon. Amazon has finally figured out grocery, which is why they're doing this. So I guess my first question to you is when you read about this, does
Mhm.
it signal to you that Amazon has figured out grocery?
Um, no, but what it is Amazon has finally deployed their fulfillment network widely enough and close enough to enough homes in the US to be able to reliably deliver from said network within a couple of hours of order time. Um, and it doesn't even if it can be ordered the day before, whatever, but they have
Right,
a very dense local delivery network now.
right.
And what this signals is that they've been able to layer in a fresh food strategy
Mhm.
into that existing capability, right? So they haven't all of a sudden become really good at produce. They haven't all of a sudden become really culinary, right? Or really good with proteins or fishmongers or any of that, right? What they have been able to do though is be able to deliver these products that have slightly different handling requirements, certainly temperature control requirements, that they've been able to do that out of their facilities in a relatively reliable way that in the markets where they've tested it has given them enough data to show that the repeat rate for customers that try it is adequate.
Right.
And so that adding this capability, we can be it can be pretty predictable what that can yield us.
Right.
And so it's a very natural extension for them to add to their already robust everyday essentials business.
So to be clear, it's not just, I mean, they whatever facilities they are assembling these orders out of, I mean, those facilities have to have freezers, refrigerators, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In addition, all those trucks that we see. I mean, the guys who deliver, laundry detergent to our house once a month. Those vehicles are not necessary. Those they're going to have to be retrofitted so they can handle all the refrigerated and frozen product.
They'll have to be able to keep the products refrigerated and temperature controlled up until delivery to the house.
Maybe they're using tubs or what you
There's ways that they can do that that doesn't necessarily require massive retrofit. Although I'm sure that's something that they're considering at scale. As this business scales, they will absolutely refine that to be able to deliver more effectively on it. But so again, I would think about this as an extension of their Amazon.com business,
right.
extending from their everyday essentials business, which is $100 billion today. Think about that. It's $100 billion. 1 in 3 units sold on the Amazon.com platform is an everyday essential that comes out of, the health and personal care, household
So
essentials,
that's paper towels, toilet paper, laundry detergent,
shampoo, conditioner,
toothpaste, all
vitamins.
that kind of stuff. Not
Yeah.
what
Packaged groceries.
non-edible grocery.
It could still be edible because a
Oh,
box of
okay.
cereal would be part of that.
Okay.
So stuff that's ambient and reasonable enough shelf life for them to be able to sell it through the facilities, right? And reasonable enough economics, although with the forward deployment of their network, the economic requirements for their items, they can sell less expensive
Yeah.
items and whatnot more of. So I would think of it as an extension of that, not as a pivot away from or any direct outcome of its Amazon Fresh slash Whole Foods slash fresh grocery delivery business. Because they even will deliver for other grocers as well. I would not see it as an extension of that business.
Right.
There will be some overlap for sure coming down the road, but right now it is strictly an advancement of that broader strategy.
Have you seen anything that has suggested to you how big, I mean, once they're fully deployed, how big this segment of that business could be? Or could you, if you had to guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first of all, they're not doing this to develop a small business, right? They're not doing this 1,000 cities, 2,000 cities, right? To not move the needle very much. So, if you think about the size of the U.S. grocery market, and these markets are always very hard to define too, because grocery could be defined as what you can get from a grocery store today, which
Right.
includes center store, which would include a lot of these categories, or it can be thought of as categories that are grocery categories. So there's just ways that you can cut it from either a product view or a retail format view or whatever. But if Amazon is a 100 billion essentials business and call it 70 billion of that in the US today, right? So 70 billion of that is in the US, and you think about that as a traditional center store or something that's bought through chain drug, mass, grocery, dollar, club. Um, there's easily a 20 to 50 billion dollar opportunity here for Amazon in the US in this area in the relative near term, meaning 5 years or less,
Right.
right? So again, if you take 20 to 50 billion in grocery volume out of the market, and you're not just center store now, which you've already taken a bunch out of, I think a typical grocer in the US has probably lost 10% of their center store volume, 10 to 15% of their center store volume, 5% of their total volume to 7 or 8% of their total volume. They've already lost to Amazon.
Right.
This is going to start attacking the perimeter. And it's a different experience. It's not a culinary experience. It's not a sensory experience. There's still a lot of, there's a reason Amazon will continue to grow Whole Foods. They'll still continue to try to get their other grocery format right. This is not going to compete directly with that, but it's absolutely it's going to serve a number of customer occasions pretty darn well, and it's going to be able to generate significant volume, which will be pulled from other stores.
Well, and if they're able to use this by and build on their existing Prime business and all the data they have on customers through Prime, plus, I mean, it's funny to say this because it's such a substantial business, but also subscribe and save. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
to really market aggressively with its subscribe and save and auto replan business. I mean, it could generate numbers pretty quickly. I mean, it's interesting. One of the
yeah,
reasons I kind of glommed onto this is that in some of the coverage of the initial announcement, Bert Flickinger, who knows everything about this industry, he was commenting on the fact that Stop and Shop just decided to close a bunch of their wear rooms in Massachusetts, New York, and in Connecticut, I think. And he said, well, that may be a reflection of the fact that they recognize that how aggressive Amazon's going to be here, and they need to kind of they're going to scale back their investment, thinking that this is going to be a no-win situation for them. Although, I mean, my first reaction to something like that is, I mean, I'm paraphrasing what Bert said, but it's certainly going to be a no-win situation for them if they don't compete. I mean, it
yeah,
was also really interesting in the initial aftermath of Amazon's announcement. The Wall Street Journal and a couple bunch of other papers made a big point of the fact that Instacart shares dropped, DoorDash shares dropped on the stock market. Kroger shares dropped, even Walmart shares
mhm,
dropped a little bit, and that the The implication being that the stock market and the investor class saw this as, oh man, Amazon's going to deliver a knockout punch to everybody. Well, maybe this is why I'm not an incredibly rich person gambling on the stock market. But my reaction to that was, well, wait a minute. Doesn't this give companies like Instacart and DoorDash yet another weapon to go to retailers and say, you can't be a passive participant in this anymore. You have to be really aggressive. You have to do more, not less. I mean, their business, Instacart, especially their business, really took off during the pandemic when the need was demonstrated. If retailers if their first impulse is to back off and say, well, I can't compete with Amazon, so therefore I'm not going to compete. Well, turn out the lights, the party's over, right? And I'm being a little hyperbolic there, but it seems to me this is a time for retailers to get better at what they do, not 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 to sort of back off investment.
I would think about it in a couple of ways as a competing retailer. First, I would be sure to be able to deliver, pun intended, or pun inadvertently tripped over. Uh, I would want to be able to make sure I have a delivery or pickup business that is sound, right? My customers need to have that option from me because if they don't have that option and they're looking for that convenience and they go to Amazon to solve this need, it's going to take volume from me that I will struggle to ever get back, right? So you have to be able to deliver on, a super convenient delivery and or pickup experience. Now,
Can
you
I
can do that
stop?
all on your own.
Right. Can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of retailers um, I'm going to pick on them again. Stop and Shop. I pick on them a lot, and I don't mean, I guess I do mean to do it, but I mean, Stop and Shop though is a perfect example of that, and it's a salient point because Bert Flickinger already made it. But if you go into a Stop and Shop, there is no real effort made to sell the idea to the shopper that they are a multi-platform business that you can deliver it, you can pick it up, or you can go in the store, and then all of those things are combined. I mean, there's no effort to do that. I think of the signs that you sometimes see when you're driving on a highway. If you lived here, you'd be home now, kind of thing. And it's
Right.
like at no point, if are there signs in the supermarket saying, if we deliver this to you, you could be cooking now instead of shopping, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough, so from the retailer standpoint, I think one of the main where you have a retailer that doesn't promote it, in some cases, that's a reflection of the fact that it's less profitable business, right? It is less profitable for a retailer to deliver a basket of goods than it is to have the customer come in and shop the basket of goods and bring it home. Like it is, so it's substantially more expensive.
But it's even
Uh,
more expensive if Amazon delivers the products and not you.
and they never get the sale.
And you never get the
Well, but the
call.
short-term math is like, well, would I rather lose $10 an order or, you know, or just not have the order? And there are some retailers that say I'd rather not have the order, and that is dangerous long term. So that's a whole other discussion, but there is the consideration that delivery is, and for many retailers is less profitable, and in some cases, in many cases, unprofitable.
Let's drill down on that for a
Part of
second.
it. Okay.
Drill
Yep.
down
All
on
right.
that. Which is, can any retailer, I mean, should retailers, can they afford today to say, well, I don't want.
No,
No, of course not. Because if they lose that order, they may never get an order from that customer
exactly. And we're
ever
already
again.
somewhere between, like, we're already at, like, call it 8% of full basket grocery today
Right.
is delivered through e-commerce.
Yeah.
If you add to that the percentage of center store slash essentials that goes through that, that's like 15 to 18% of that market. So of the potential sales of a grocer, of a full basket grocer, you've got 13, 14% of your sales
Right.
are already being, in market are being fulfilled that way. So you got to be in that business, or and by the way, that's just going to continue to grow. So you're going to keep chasing that, or you're not going to chase it, and you're toast. So there's that piece. But from another competitive standpoint too, and I would make sure, by the way, within that, that I have a really good experience. I have great tools to help the customer, right? I blend AI into the experience. I help with discovery. I help, refine my product searches based on my precise needs. I have really good personalization. I have, for sure agentic or AI-based auto replenishment. Like I got to totally automate that part and wow my customer with the super ultra tailored convenience of that. Like you got to crush that. But then your perimeter is where you're still going to be able to differentiate largely from Amazon. And frankly, even in a lot of cases from Walmart. Now, Walmart is pretty good in the perimeter as far as the quality of the perimeter. They're pretty darn good there. But what you're not getting now in a Walmart, but you do get some in a Whole Foods, and you absolutely get it in a really good grocer, is that service level, that culinary experience, that sensory experience, the authenticity, the adventure of the perimeter. Your Dorothy Lane piece from a couple weeks back, like that was a perfect example of that's a retailer that, their customers look to them for that experience, and they're going to retain that volume and grow that volume. And that is just, and we've talked about this for a long time, in this and on the innovation conversation. But you have to win there, and you have to continue to invest in that, and you will be able to hold yourself up pretty well against Amazon in that regard. Amazon's going to keep working in that regard. Whole Foods is a pretty good starting point. I think they're going to keep trying to make it better. And they're going to keep working on the Amazon fresh grocery concept, at least for a bit,
Right.
to try to make that better. So they're not going to give up there. But man, if you've already got customers coming in and shopping that part of your store, get on it now and double and triple down on that. And you can survive in this and ultimately thrive in this. I think the weakest competitors are really going to struggle. They're really going to struggle. If you're already weak, already low in share, you've been losing share, and you're just kind of a traditional old school supermarket, your days are numbered for sure.
Yeah, I mean yeah, exactly. I mean, Amazon's going to end up, even though Amazon is largely when we talk about fresh food, is largely going to probably service everyday needs, right? I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
they're gonna service Thursday night dinner with the family. They're probably not going to be servicing Saturday night's dinner party with friends, right?
I would think of them almost like uh, a grocery utility,
Right.
right? Like you're gonna be able to get pretty good quality average stuff from them at a good price, delivered with good predictability, right? So yeah, things like you'll a beefsteak tomato will be in a sleeve of or a tray of three. You know, your ears of corn, or you're not gonna be able to pick them off the display, but they're gonna be packaged. You're not going to be able to, the more exotic and rare stuff, you're probably not going to find in any kind of regularity there. More exotic cuts of meat, or different types of seafood and whatnot. They're going to be harder to find. You're not going to get those in your regular Amazon, delivery trip. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to raise the bar in those categories. And like you said, I might be able to, serve my family dinner need a bunch of nights, but the really special occasions, I'm going to definitely want to be looking to these retailers for it, and that's ultimately going to be the trademark that keeps me engaged with them and keeps me keeping a lot of my shopping with them.
Because it'll be hard for Amazon at the kind of scale they're talking about to make sure the bananas are exactly the way you want the bananas. It's going to be hard for them to make sure if I order 5 ears of corn. I mean, I went to Stu Leonard's today and picked up, 5 ears of corn, but I'm strip them, I check them out. I mean, I know that I've got 5 good ears of corn. It's good. Amazon probably, it's going to be hard for them to do that at the kind of scale they're talking about. So if retailers provide, first of all, better product, better service,
Hmm.
and really put and raise and not even wait for Amazon to raise the bar, but raise the bar immediately for
Oh,
themselves.
absolutely, immediately. Yes.
It's It's fascinating. I mean, it does seem to me that if I were a retailer having a conventional, for lack of a better term, retailer, but let's say doing business with Instacart, I'm doing business
Mhm.
with DoorDash, I'm calling my rep right away and saying, okay, what do I need to do to up? I'll handle making sure my fresh food is better. I'm calling those reps too, by the way, but I'm also calling my Instacart and DoorDash rep to say, okay, what do we need to do this to make this next level,
Absolutely.
right? Because I can't wait. I can't wait for them to come to me to make that suggestion.
Correct.
And
Right.
and more than ever, the clock is ticking.
It is. It is. Again, Amazon's made some waves in grocery over the years, and there's been a lot of naysayers and whatnot. And frankly, the naysayers have
You
been
know,
proven
look
right.
at you're looking at one.
I know, and they've been proven right as much as they've been or more than they've been proven wrong. Um, this is a different beast. This is not Amazon trying to be, you know, trying to be that whole basket. I mean, this is not them trying to be that culinary full experiential solution for you. This is them filling up a bunch of your regular routine grocery shopping needs.
And to
And
be
they're going to
clear,
do it pretty well.
they tested this in Phoenix and they tested it in Austin, I think maybe Dallas.
Yeah. And then maybe some in Chicago too. I feel like there might have been some in
So
Chicago.
they've got some proof of concept.
Oh yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see for those of us who have Amazon accounts and especially Amazon Prime accounts,
Hmm.
how aggressive are they going to be to try to make that sale? Because by the way, they have my Amazon Prime data, they have my subscribe and save data, but they also have access to my Whole Foods data.
Hmm.
And they should be able to look at that. And this is what they've never done to this
Yeah,
point.
they're not, yeah.
How do we take that? How do we take these three buckets and put them together and shake it up and look at it in a way that says, oh, I just figured out how to sell $50, $75, $100 more stuff to Kevin a month.
Absolutely. Right
And
now, they're doing that by putting it in, like when that service is available to you, you'll start to see the items showing up on the site. It will be cross merchandised to you. It will also, as you're going through checkout, it will ask you in your checkout, it'll introduce the products to you there. And I know that's even like one of the quotes that Amazon had was that, you'll be able to buy, bananas with your electronics purchase. And I don't know that that is like a real use case. Like, are you really going to throw in bananas when you're buying a cell phone case? I don't know that that's all that natural. But when you're on buying a cell phone case, which gazillions of people do,
right.
if you're then introducing the service to them, pretty effective way to reach folks.
Yeah.
I think the cross marketing is valuable. I don't think the cross merchandising is necessarily all that valuable. But
And it's interesting
it'll be interesting.
when you look at your past orders now, my Whole Foods, when I go to Whole Foods and buy stuff, if that pops up in the same
Oh, it
list.
does. Oh, sweet.
So if I go to Whole Foods today and buy five things, and then I go Amazon tonight and buy something, and I go to past orders, they're both listed. It's
That's
really
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, well,
So
they'll be using that data together pretty soon then.
and that simply makes sense. And
It really
again,
does.
that creates a challenge to retailers, but they've got to figure that stuff out. They're no
Absolutely.
longer, that's going to end up being table stakes, and they've got to figure out how to go beyond that.
Amen.
Well, so we'll do another innovation conversation in the next few weeks, and we'll be able to maybe compare notes at that point and say, okay, to what degree have they tried to sell this service to us, and how are they being successful?
And I would say too, any morning news beat readers, if you're seeing it and having some experience with it, write in. Let us know
Yeah.
what you guys are hearing, and we'll keep our eyes open as well.
Oh, and by the way, the other thing they should do is, and I'll do this, and I know you'll do it. I'll place some orders because
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm going to see how they come. What
Yeah,
do they look like? Or the banana, I'll order some bananas And so how do they come in green? Do they come in ripe? Do they overripe or whatever it happens to
They're
be?
probably, my guess is, I got to look and see, but they usually will offer a few different banana SKUs based on the ripeness that you're shooting for.
Well, we'll see. Tom, great to see you as always, and we will be back in a couple of weeks with another innovation conversation.
Let's do it.
Sounds good. Take it easy, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.